What's the crack? What's the bleeding story? How are you all doing and all that stuff? And I know what you're saying, Del Boy does it better. Um, it's a surprise because I'm the one who's hosting it tonight. Del Boy isn't here, and I'm sorry that we don't have the intro right now. But the top story, of course, for the day is that Arsenal's FA Cup campaign is over for yet another season. A tough, chastening, yet in some ways morale building 1-0 loss to Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. A changed team today, but still many of our first teamers on the bench. Many of them came on in the second half to try and rescue the situation, try and take it to a replay. But in the end, it was a question of City not showing too much in terms of conviction, but getting the job done in the very end. So obviously, we are open now. We're open to taking guests in, and the link is in the chat if any of you want to join in. Right here, just copy and paste this link into your browser. If you are in the studio, I will definitely add you on. But remember, there is a limit of 6, and I'm not going to compromise that. And of course, we've already got our guest in, and it is the unmistakable Prince Fuad himself. مساء الخير يا حبيبي كويس كيف حالك كويس الحمد لله
الحمد لله مسا النور الحمد لله كيف حالك تمام
أنا كويس شكرا
شكرا
but what can I say? It's another yeah, it's a defeat which some of us were preparing for, and I think in the last chat we had, many of us were saying that if it means having to sacrifice the FA Cup in order to go on and win the league, we have to bite that bullet. I was hoping that we would put up a fight. And for the most part, we did. I actually thought that City didn't really look convincing in many ways. And I will get to some of the chats in the moment while you speak. But from what I saw of City, they didn't really look too convincing early on. But in the second half, I think they started to look a lot better. What did you think of the game?
I just thought it was two halves. I thought it was just two halves of the game, and they were just. I think the two teams, even though City scored, the two teams were kind of cancelling out each other. I find like every time Arsenal were attacking, they were like figuring it out, and Arsenal were the closest team to score in the first half, and then in the second half, Man City would just come out a bit better on top, and I think it was just two games. I think the game wasn't. It was a bit balanced, but I'm glad he took off Partey because he was taking like a lot of rational challenges, and the way Man City were coming in, you got to understand. Like some people like saying, "Why is he taking off Partey?" No, you got to take off Partey because as fans, we know Partey is our best player. So do they.
I agree completely. But
Yeah, when he took him off,
here
did you because go on.
no, go ahead. Say what you want to say.
I was saying because what it was, there was a challenge. It was about free. If you watch the game, when people I think watches the game and they don't watch, but when he was coming up against Partey can read what they were trying to do, and that's because he's an experienced player. He moved his body out the way and put the ball, and the players just flying past him. Well, if they would have collided with him a few times, he would have been out for the season. So I think Arteta thought, come on, let's get him off. I
Yeah,
think.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can understand if you want to get him off to protect him, but this is another example of how, when it comes to buying players and trying to get the players we need, we're still sorely lacking. And obviously, there's going to be some talk about Caicedo trying to force a move from Brighton. I'm not too sure he's forcing a move. He's probably going to ask politely, and we will find out in the next few days whether or not Arsenal is serious about buying him. And we've made some good progress in the transfer window. I thought Trossard, who started today, looked absolutely terrific down that left
100%.
wing. I'm not too
Agreed.
sure why he was brought off. In fact, I was on a watch along with a mate of mine, and we were talking about the prospect of possibly taking off Eddie Nketiah and moving Martinelli into the centre to keep Trossard on the wing, so that at least we'd have that attacking impetus. And I will say this about Nketiah. He was getting into good positions. He does provide a lot of movement in that area. But there's a reason why he doesn't start on his own as the lone striker. And I think today it was a case where you could either say that he was completely off color or he just didn't have the luck. Maybe it could be a bit of both, but that's another reminder that squad depth is always going to be important. And this is normally after a game like this, I'd be angry, but it also, I mean, I'm not so angry now because, of course, our position in the league is enviable. We're 5 points clear of City, and we've got a game in hand. But our next games are going to be crucial. So with only 3 days left before the end of the window, who can we possibly sign to help improve our squad? Do we go in for Caicedo no matter how much money they ask for? What do you think?
I was reading. They were saying today that I know that everyone's saying cost 60 million, but there's more players Arsenal are actually looking at. So, and is it going to be? Yeah, I think the one who's been linked with us for a while. Could it be Tillman?
Tielemans.
Could it be? Yeah, Tielemans. Yeah, I got that feeling Tielemans is coming on deadline day. I think there's this. Do you get it? Because I know they won this Brighton, but Brighton rejected 60 million today. But it's just, I don't know. But I got that feeling Tillman's coming. Do you know? You just got that little. Do you get it? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I know. I just got that feeling Tillman's coming. Do you know why?
It's funny, really, because I mean, we were interested in him, and now, the talk around him seems to have died down a bit. Maybe he's stuck at Leicester for the time being. So if we do end up coming back in for him, I mean, not that I wouldn't mind. I mean, certainly he's a player of some ability, but yeah. So you see, this comment sums it all up. Obviously, our Canadian brother, Chris Mossing, has said, if we start Odegaard and we win, we need to make sure that we focus on the bigger prizes. We still have the most FA Cups. Really, it's Edu who deserves the criticism. Hopefully, he can get Jonathan David and maybe Onana. He wanted Danilo, but he went to Nottingham Forest instead. Edu, wake yourself up. So we have some positivity, and obviously, Edu's going to bear the brunt of criticism. And it was the Arteta of old and the Arsenal of old tonight, says Joanne Smith. Shout out to you.
No way.
Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to Craig. Everyone's here.
No way. I think today we controlled the game. In the last 10 minutes, they were on the back foot. It's just no way. No, we controlled the game.
And there were quite a few occasions where, in fact, had it not been for Ortega making some important saves, we could have scored. But again, it's also a question of some of these fine margins and so forth, and we have to make sure we take our chances. And now it's all aboard the Wexford Express. We've got Mr. Walsh all the way from Wexford, and I can just tell, Mr. Walsh, that you are not happy with what's happened tonight. If you want to come on, say whatever you want to say. Let's hear it. Both Fuad and I were all ears. Come on, let it out.
Manny, big up to Manny, big up to Prince Ford and all the lads in the chat. Manny, I just have to say one thing. Are we a small club or are we a big club? What the fuck is going on? To me, I want us to go and win the double this year. Now, people say about Man City this, Man City that. To me, they were there for the taking. Arteta showed up there tonight. Didn't want to win the game. You could see it a mile off. Sambi may go. He has to go. Not good enough. Prince Ford. Eddie Nketiah once again proved he's not the man. So lads,
you have to be real, though. Yeah, but Carl, we got it. The reality is, like, look what Roy Keane said, your fellow countryman. He said it today. He said Arsenal, the fans need to chill because this kind of game, all right, no one wants that replay. And the thing with Arsenal, we ain't got the squad to go for the FA Cup, the Europa League. I'd rather the Europa League and the Premier League than the FA Cup. Reason behind it is because we've never won it. We need to win in Europe again. We need to get that winning mentality in Europe. Now, if we win in Europe and we win the league, all this is forgotten about. But today, Arsenal with Sambi Lokonga in the middle, even though you don't rate him, I think we still had Man City on the back foot at their grounds. And even though they scored, we still had them on the back foot. This is a different Arsenal. You got to think of it like this. They're coming to the Emirates in 2 weeks' time. Do you really want to play your starting 11 and play all your cards out round? This is a game of chess. You don't play all your cards at once. Arsenal got a game plan. As soon as they come to the Emirates, you're going to see the big boys out. Martin Odegaard, Partey, all together. I think Trossard to start that game. Because today
but Fuad, let me just come right in. We're going to go back to Kyle, obviously, because Kyle definitely has a lot on his mind. I get what you're saying. They're coming over to the Etihad in a couple of weeks, and obviously our strategy would be to make sure that we keep the first-team players on ice and bring out the big guns, as you say, so that City can, play. But here's the issue. City had quite a few of their big guns on the bench, and they brought on Julian Alvarez, they brought on Bernardo Silva, they brought on I wouldn't necessarily call Emerick Laporte a big gun per se, but you can see the levels over there in terms of the quality of the squad. So let's not be under any assumptions that just because this half fringe, half first team couldn't do the business, the first team has it made. No. Because it's all about what happens on the day. And I actually have a theory that City, by showing that they have the intent to stick around and fight and get the win, they've shown that they are more than ready. And I think, Kyle, you can agree with me, though, I think, to be fair, that we did have our chances to score. We could have won the game. And had it not been for their keeper, Ortega, we could have scored quite a few. Ortega would be my candidate for man of the match, their goalkeeper. But again, you can definitely agree with me that sometimes when it comes to taking the chances, Nketiah has to be more consistent. When it came to the big moments, we just lost them. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. Please say whatever you want to say.
Absolutely. They were there for the taking, in my honest opinion. But within those, Manny, and it comes simple point of the matter is the squad's not strong enough. You can bring on what big boys just want against Man City. Man City's going to beat them in 2 weeks' time. Man City's going to beat them in the Emirates, and Man City's going to beat them in the Etihad. Man City is coming first, and they're coming first big time. Our squad is not good enough. I keep going back to it. If we're relying on Eddie Nketiah to get us over the line for the Premier League, we're sadly mistaken. Sambi, if something happens to Party, are you telling me that this is what we're relying on? Sambi Laganko, or whatever his name is. He's brutal. And let me tell you another thing. This Fabio Vieira, what the fuck is that all about?
No, I think he played well. He played well today. I think he played well. I think he had a good game.
Useless one.
No.
Fuad, please let him finish. Go ahead, Carl.
He's useless. Yeah. No, is this the Prince Ford? I respect you, man. You're a good man. I like you, not rest. We do disagree with things, but man, I want my team, like you, like Manny. We all want Arsenal to win the Premier League. Look at the squad we have, lads. It's not good enough to win the Premier League. Yes, we're 5 points clear. Yes, we have a game in hand. 2 or 3 weeks' time, that's all going to change. Mark my words. Not fucking good enough. This is the FA Cup. We're 14 times champions of the FA Cup. I know it's Manchester City. We'll put in more of an effort. Where was Saka tonight? Saka, where's the star boy?
We should have dropped him, bro. I think he should not have played. We should not have played. I don't think. I said that. I think when I see Saka on the team sheet, sometimes you sometimes just give someone else a running.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Because Saka can have a bad game. I think he had a bad game today, and then he and it makes the other teams look up. I thought Rob Holding had a good first half. I know people say because he just roughed him up. He just roughed him up. He stopped.
Are we going to rely on him over the next order or so? He's not going to. He's realistically. He's not.
I told you, Carl. Listen, Carl. I told you. We'll beat Man United. We'll beat Tottenham, right? We'll beat Everton. We'll win our next 3 games in the league.
No. Fuad, listen, let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you both one thing before I bring our next guest in. It's another reminder that this is a season of 2 halves, just like you're running a 100-meter sprint. Any runner can do well in the first 50 meters, yeah? But it's the second 50 meters that always separates the champions from the rest. And so this is the time when we really need to pull our fingers out of our mouths and start taking things seriously. The worst part about having games in hand and the points advantage, as we found out last year, is that we can get tripped up at any time, and that is why we have to be very careful. And on that note, I'm going to bring in our next guest, the ever-respected Mr. Jez Collins. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Pissed off, man. Pissed off. Once again, we throw away the FA Cup. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Arteta is back to prick mode. He's an absolute arse in the fact he doesn't respect the FA Cup. He put that absolute shit side out tonight. And he is an FA Cup winner. And he puts out the fact, and I'm sorry to say it, Nketiah is crap. He is not worthy of wearing the badge. He cannot stand up in a big game. When you are playing Manchester City, you need your best team. And Arteta puts out a second string. Shocking. Shocking. Lokonga, Vieira, rubbish. And I'm sorry, Nketiah is absolute crap. I've been saying it. I don't get why people think he's good. He's shockingly rubbish. He's not worthy of 100 grand a week when he can't turn up against the Man City's team that we had on the back foot. It's a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. The man is rubbish and he needs to go. He's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. No bloody way. And Arteta, you are a complete prick and you're back on prick settings.
Wow,
Seriously.
very powerfully said. Let me just ask you, though, if I may, because, you know, this is, of course, coming off the Manchester United game where he turned up in Fergie time to score that winner and, of course, had another goal. That was the first equalising goal. He seems to have been doing the business for the most part in games in the Premiership and has certainly been looking good. But I think a lot of us can agree that his consistency is what is letting him down. So you saw the United Arsenal game at the Emirates. What do you think of Nketiah then, and how flummoxed are you that he went from being that good to being this poor?
No, I think the thing is, Manny, totally two different teams. Man United are on a roll. They're not as good as Man City. No way are they that good. Nketiah can turn up against teams, right, that are basically okay. Man United are not anywhere near the level of Manchester City. And that day we had a full team out. We had a team that could challenge. Today we're up against Manchester City, one of the best teams in Europe, and he couldn't hack it. Simple. He's not good enough. When you are up against the big boys that we have got to challenge to win a league, an FA Cup, you need a top draw striker. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. He's not good enough. He is not good enough. He couldn't get it over the line today. He had his opportunities and he wasn't good. And I've been saying this for, I think now, 18 months. And people will disagree with me. Fine. I respect your views. Prince Fowd will. But I'm sorry. I honestly believe, mate, you're deluded if you think this guy is going to take Arsenal over the line. He's just not good enough. You have to have the best. Go on,
I just want to back James up there because he's 100% right. Anyone that thinks Eddie Nketiah, like I said already, if we're relying on Eddie Nketiah to get us over the line to win a Premier League title, the first time in 2 decades, you may forget about it. We have to stop fooling ourselves. We have to be real. And it's not just Eddie Nketiah. You have Sambi, if something happens to party. You have the likes of Fabio Vieira. You have the likes of Rob Holding. Then you're on about Marquinhos coming on. These fellas are not fucking good enough for Arsenal Football Club. If we want to win the Premier League, this is what we have. And you have Man City bringing on Kyle Walker and bringing on Alvarez. And we're bringing on the likes of fucking Sambi and Vieira and these fellas. It's a joke. No, we're either going to start acting as a proper football club or don't fucking bother with these competitions. It's the FA Cup we're talking about. We're not talking about a Mickey Mouse Cup here, Andy. And we go out and we do that tonight, throwing it away, year in, year out, disrespecting it. It's a fucking shambles. I'm disgusted, and I'm not one bit happy. And Eddie Nketiah, as far as I'm concerned, can fuck right off.
The same old story again. All those tears shed in vain. Nothing learnt, nothing gained, and only hope remains. And we got some hope in. And Darren Sullivan. Good evening, Mr. Sullivan. How are you, sir? Long time no
Good
see.
evening. Yeah, very well, thanks. Nice to see you all. And Jay, about today, unfortunately, it's very dear to a lot of us, but unfortunately, it falls right in a box that I'm not sure what it means anymore to clubs, teams, managers, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, bringing Lokonga on in the second half, no. Starting with Rob Holding now, Prince, you can tell me all day long that he roughed Haaland up. If that's your fantasy, then you keep living the dream. But from what I can see on the pitch, Holding is in no physical shape to be roughing Haaland up.
But
it's the other way round. It's the other way round, mate.
But do you watch Haaland play week in, week out?
Okay, listen.
Knocks him all over the shop.
Yeah,
and then
Fuad, please let him speak.
Holding is doing what his name is. Yeah, he's holding on for dear life because he hasn't got the physicality or the skill or the footballing brain to deal with Haaland. And that was the biggest joke. When I saw the team sheet, I thought, what is he doing putting Haaland in? What is he doing?
Right.
It'd have been better off going through at the back. But having said all that, right, I actually think Arteta hasn't done a too bad job today overall, because you said earlier, Prince, you made a very good point about showing your hand. Now, the FA Cup is important and we want to win it. But don't forget, City have put a right back out there tonight. I've never even heard of him. So they're rotating as well. They're not treating this competition as their top priority either, and neither are we, right? So I think actually Arteta ain't done such a bad job because he hasn't shown all his hand with his first team. And the guys are right when they say, we ain't got the depth. We ain't got the depth. We're putting people like Lokonga and Holding. Man City haven't got a Lokonga and a Holding in their squad. Them sort of players don't exist. So, and we had the chances there to put them away. We had chances. Tommy went close in the first half for that volley. Vieira should have put one in at the start of the second half. Again, a volley, just either outside or inside the box. What I was pleased with today is we ain't gone up there and got smashed 3 or 4-0. We ain't scared of them anymore. We're not scared of Man City anymore. We're going up there and we're giving them a close run thing. We've all seen us go up to Old Trafford over the years in the FA Cup and get smashed 4-0 under Wenger. This ain't that, innit? This is not it. We've done okay. We've done okay, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And why Edu and Arteta have still got the likes of Rob Holding and Sammy Lokonga in the squad is Deadwood. It's got to go.
Couldn't agree more. Certainly. I mean, this was an opportunity for the likes of Vieira and Sambi to really show their skills, especially when you consider the likes of Reece Nelson and Marquinhos weren't even considered. I think it's fair to say that Arteta wanted to try and strike that balance of taking it seriously, bringing in some first-team players, but also trying to rotate the squad enough to make sure that there weren't any injuries. But I'll tell you what, when he put Vieira in on the right side of that midfield in the 4-3-3, along with Partey and Xhaka, I told myself, you know what? This could either go really well or really horribly, and Vieira might have looked good in parts, but in the end, the whole it just simply wasn't good enough from him. But I want to get to a few questions right now. Obviously, this was the debut of Leandro Trossard, and we also had Jakub Kiwior being registered to play. He was in the squad, but he didn't get to play. I'd like to get your views now, Fuad. What did you think of Trossard's performance today, and why do you think Kiwior didn't start, and do you think he should have had the chance to play today instead of Gabriel, for example, or Holding, for example?
No, I thought Trossard was awesome. I thought the way he could head with himself and he controlled the ball and he handled it and he hold it, and he just played with no fear. Like he just went at him. Man City, like every time he had the ball, look how many players were around him. normally you have one player on a normal player, Man City, but you had what? You had Stones on him, you had thing cutting in with him, so he just played awesome. And with the new guy, because he just arrived and he's only had like his first training session was yesterday or the day before. I'm glad they never played him, but it'll be interesting to see if he plays him in the league, because you know
I'm not go ahead.
Because people, for Poland, he did play in centre half. He could play defensive mid. He's a unitary player, so it'd be interesting to see what he does. But Trossard today really impressed me. To me, we know now going into the season that you've got someone there who's gonna cause a lot of damage to teams, a lot of damage, and like some Man City. Likes the Liverpool.
So you're saying that Kiwior could possibly play in the league? A big shout, considering that Gabriel and Saliba are normally the first choice partnership, eh?
No, not in the league. I'm just saying, it'd be interesting to see what happens in the league if we do play him. Because if, say, for instance, Gabriel gets injured, is he going to go for him or is he going to go for Holding?
I wouldn't want him to go for Holding either.
So
but
exactly,
again,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's going to segue.
Yeah, that's going to segue into the next question. I hear a lot of people saying right now that, taking Partey off was a bit of a masterclass because at least we're protecting him for the upcoming battles. But it also goes to show that Thomas really is the engine of our team. A tank engine, if you will. Cue the Thomas Tank Engine theme, if you will. But it's another reminder that our bench strength is sorely lacking. And we've obviously been in the news for trying to get Moses Caicedo from Brighton, the Ecuadorian. He also played in the World Cup, scored in the final match against Senegal, I believe it was, but they ended up going out. And there's been a lot of talk about whether he might he'll move. He's been requesting to move. The club have made it clear that they're holding out for more money. They don't want to see him leave, and they're right to hold on to him because they've already seen many players go. And I think you can agree with me, Jez, that you've been crying out for central defensive midfield cover for Partey. This is an example of how, if you remove Thomas, the party falls flat. So 2 questions for you. 1, do you believe that we have a chance of getting Caicedo from Brighton? And the second is, are you still eager to see Yuri Tillemans come into the club from Leicester? And if not, who do you have in mind?
Yeah, okay. It's a great question, Manny. Great question. If Arsenal are serious about getting Caicedo into the club, let's not pontificate like we did with Mudryk. Were we really in for that guy? I don't think we were. I think it was just a smokescreen. If look, Arsenal. Let's cut to the core, shall we? Arsenal have got a lot of bloody money. We can go and get any player if we really, really want them. So if Arsenal are serious, with 5 days to go to the end of the transfer window, then go down to Brighton with the team and just say, how much do you want? If you want 80 million, here's the 80 million. And not mess about anymore. Arsenal have done this time in, time out. They've done it for history. I can remember this going on back in the 70s and the 80s with players. This is Arsenal Football Club business. They are as tight as a tick, and they always want to do things. In the modern world of football, you can't do this because with social media as it is now, everything gets out there. And we've seen it with Chelsea, hijacked 2 of our potential signings. Yeah, because Arsenal just weren't prepared to get it over the line. And we once about, do you remember the Suarez one? Yeah?
Yep.
40 mil and £1, taking the piss in Wenger's time. No, just do, if you are serious, if this football club is serious about winning this Premier League, then just do the damage. Just do it. Right?
Exactly.
It's just come in just now. He just handed in 13 minutes ago that the player Arsenal's wicket is just now has handed in his request. He's grateful to Brighton. He wants to join that. He wants to join the Premier League club, but they're not saying Arsenal. But it looks like it's going to be they're saying it's Arsenal, and he just handed in his transfer request, and they're saying he's thanking the fans and that. So players done his part. Let Arsenal. If Arsenal want him, let's see they do their part.
No, but again, Fuad, as I've said, here's the thing: Brighton have a right to hold on to him because they've already lost several players. They've lost Cucurella. They've lost Maupay, I think, and they've just they've lost Trossard to us. They even gave up their manager to go to Chelsea. So why should De Zerbi and the club be willing to see the club having its pockets continue to be picked when they're trying to make a season for themselves? They have to hold on to the players they want. Maybe Trossard might have flown the coop, that's fine. But if Caicedo is seen as an important player, and De Zerbi wants to keep him at least until the end of the season, then De Zerbi is deservedly in his right to say so. But then this goes back to the second part. Are you still keen on Tielemans, Jez, or would you like someone else to come in instead?
No, I'll tell you, I'll be quite straight with you here, guys. Right? I'd rather Arsenal had gone for Zaha at Palace. Straight up. Because we need another striker. We need, and let's get it right. Zaha is an Arsenal supporter. He would come to Arsenal in a heartbeat. It wouldn't mess about. We need another striker. Because I'm sorry, Nketiah is not the man. He's Division 1 or championship level. I'm sorry, he's just not good enough. He's not good enough. He is not going to get Arsenal over the line. I hear people, like in my chat, oh, but he scored this amount of goals, this amount of goals. Yeah, okay, let's look at the goals he scored against. West Ham, Oxford United. When it comes to the big boys, right? All right, he scored against Man United last week. Man United are not the team they once were. Yeah? Tonight, against one of the big boys, Manchester City, he couldn't get it over the line. And cost us, again, in the FA Cup. So I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. It's not personal. I don't know the guy, never spoken to him. I've seen him play. I don't think he's great, but you didn't deliver. And in a cup competition, you have to have players that will deliver, and he didn't. So no, he ain't good enough.
Can I counter something?
Briefly, because I want to get Darren in. Go ahead, Fuad.
Good, can I counter? But okay, Jess, but I'm gonna. This is I want to counter something, so you might understand different. Do you know against Manchester United, it wasn't about the goals at the same time Nketiah's goal. It was the man of the game. If we would have lost that game or drew that game, Man City would have been 2 points behind us. And on top of all that, that Man United game was the most pressured game for Arsenal in the last 20 years. Because if we would have drew that game and Man City would have been, gone 2 points behind us, Arsenal would have felt the pressure. By Nketiah stepping up with all that pressure, you got it. That's what I'm saying. With all that pressure, because we haven't been that predicament for 20 years. Imagine now Arsenal would have not won that game. Man City 3 points behind us. All the fans, what's going to happen? Meltdown. So,
but Arsenal have a game in hand.
But yeah, that game in hand don't exist because we got to play the games in front of us. Because the game in hand, like Manny just said, they're not guaranteed 3 points. Them game in hands, they never are.
No, agree.
So,
I agree with you.
So I'm just saying, look at that perspective, the manner he beat it in, with 2-2, pressures on Arsenal, he steps up and gets a winner. Today, I agree with Darren. Today, I think it was just, there was something about Arsenal, but they will cancel out each other, but like a defender scored the goal. Do you get me? But I know people love the FA Cup, and it is a big cup, but we gotta just take the league serious now and just hope to win it.
No, but here's the thing, Fuad, let me speak on Jez's behalf.
Can I just ask this question? So he stepped up against Man United, yeah?
Yeah, in a situation, yeah, it was a pressured game.
Why didn't he step up tonight against Man City? If he's if he's that good in a cup competition, that Arsenal are the highest, won more than anybody else in league history.
Yeah.
Why did he not step up tonight
Well,
and go the extra mile?
because tonight, to be honest with you, we never played the strongest 11. I would have rather them. I think I would have rather them drop Saka, played Marquinhos there, and gone out with the youngsters with the second team and see what they could do. But when you're always reliant on Saka and always relying on Saka, Eddie Nketiah, who scored the last minute, he was unlucky because the keeper was their man of the match to me. But it's just one of them games.
Yeah.
But we got Everton next, so we'll have to wait and see what he does against Everton because it's the league that everyone wants, really.
Okay, but well, Fuad, on that note, I'm going to say right now that there's a chat which was here earlier on. I think it was Static who said it. If we want to be a big team, we have to treat every game and every competition seriously, and that is what, for the most part, we fail to do. So questions on Nketiah will persist. That's the way it is, and that's going to segue into the next question I'm going to ask Darren, because as we all know, Darren, Gabriel Jesus has been out for quite some time, and there has been some talk about how if he does come back into the team, if he is fit, he should come back into the team because, yes, he might have had a bit of a dry spell in front of goal before his injury, but he's offered so much more in terms of link-up play and whenever he can score that have been of so much more value. And at least with him, Arsenal can play a lone striker. So I'm going to ask you two questions. Do you see Jesus coming back into the team once he is fit and putting Nketiah on the sidelines? And secondly, who would you like to see join the club, either as central defensive midfield cover or as striker cover?
Right. First of all, I think here's my thoughts on Eddie. To begin with, I liked him, thought he could be it. Then I turned on him because I thought he was missing chances last season or the season before, and I thought he's had his day, get rid of him. Now he's been given a chance by Arteta again over the Christmas period, and I don't think anyone can deny he has produced the goods in a settled team, in a consistent team, keeps getting picked. I think it's probably unfair of us to sack him on tonight's performance. I'm not saying let's not bring another striker in. I want 4 strikers at the club. But he's scoring goals. Jesus has got, 4 goals this season? Eddie's come in. Brighton, West Ham, Newcastle, Tottenham and Man United. And he's got more goals than Jesus, has he not? So I would say I would keep Eddie in over even Jesus at the minute, because he's putting the ball in the back of the net, and that's one of the hardest things that you can do. And let's get Jesus angry. So when Eddie gets injured, Jesus comes back, maybe he'll start putting balls in the back of the net again. As for who do we want to get in, this guy from Brighton, I don't know a lot about him really. I know he's an Ecuadorian international. He was in the World Cup. He's not really a standout for me. And to go and smash 60 million on the budget on him, I'm not sure. A bit like some people weren't sure with Mudryk. Same sort of thing. And look what happened there. We got Trossard, who looks just as good, if not better than Mudryk, for 30 million. So who would I bring in? I'd stick with Tielemans. Go and get Tielemans. He can track back. He can tackle. He's box to box, and he can smash it in from 25, 30 yards. He's got ability, That's what I would do. I would stick to plan A, which was get Tielemans all along. What are we waiting for? Tielemans. What? He's not going to be dear. He's got 6 months left on his contract. He's proven. This Ecuadorian guy from Brighton, what has he got? A goal here? I don't know. I'm probably unfair to comment on him because I don't know enough about him. We could sign him for 60 million and he could be a worldie and he could be great. I don't know.
He's coming, boys.
But I would stick with plan A, which is Tielemans, in the central midfield position for when Partey gets injured. Not saying he's better than Partey. And by the way, as well, I've seen the comments in the chat, I never accept defeat. Yeah. Never accept defeat. I want all 3 trophies, by the way. All 3.
All
Yeah,
four.
but you can't win every game in every season. If we were playing that sort of football, then that's the sort of football that is under 10s or 11s. This is proper Premier League and Europa Cup and FA Cup football. Yeah,
Darren,
you can't win every game you play. Can't
Thank
win
you, Darren.
70
Yeah,
games
Darren,
on the
spot
trot.
on.
Yeah, I get that. I get
Spot
that.
on.
Jez, come in now, sir.
Darren,
Jeff?
I've got massive respect for you. You come on my channel, and you're an old school gunner. And I'm just going to say about Caicedo, I've seen him play live at Brighton twice, and he's class, man. He's a class player, and he will make a massive, in my belief, a massive difference in our midfield. Seriously. Now, you know, I only look at
Jez, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nippon, one more thing, Nippon, welcome.
Can I ask you a question, Jez?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
crack
ahead.
on, man. Crack on. Go on.
Aren't Brighton like your local team?
They're about 25.
That's what made me think you watched them quite new. You've seen. Yeah, that's what made me assume that you watch Caicedo quite a lot.
No, I only go to Brighton when Arsenal are playing there. I went last 4 or 5 years. Last game I went down there, I took my grandson to his very first ever Arsenal game. So, no, I only go there when Arsenal play.
So that answers your question, Nippon. Welcome to the stream, by the way. I know that you might. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yes, I don't know whether you're necessarily happy that we, like you, are out of both cup competitions. We've lost to Manchester City. You've lost to Manchester City. Any advice for us, perhaps?
Look, you have no idea how much I want to laugh at you guys right now. That you've got, well, naturally, because we're rivals. Like naturally, you have no idea how much I want to laugh at you guys, but I'm not going to, because we have no right to laugh at anyone at this moment in time, given our predicament. So you've escaped one there. But second of all, big up everyone on the panel, and Del Boy, who's unfortunately not here today. Go subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So yeah, Man City. I mean, like, I don't want to sound defeatist here, but like, even I said on a few of my own Chelsea channels that there's no defeat. Sorry, there's no. What's the word? There's no shame in getting knocked out. Man City, they're a good team.
Right, and so I'm coming to you now. Obviously, you've got Mudrak, and you've seen your performances improve a little bit. I suppose my question to you, brief as it is are you confident of any improvement between now and the end of the season? Because there are some people who are predicting that with the new boys coming into your Arsenal, pun intended, of course, you could perhaps make a late charge to get back up to up the table, maybe back into the Champions League places. Do you see that happening?
Look, I wish I was that optimistic, but no, I'm a realist. I do not see us getting into the top 4 this season. And I'm being 100%. I mean, like, it would be a miracle if we did. But there are 2 teams there are 2 teams that are capable of pulling off miracles in the Premier League. And those are Chelsea and Liverpool. I think we know that by now, don't we? Like Liverpool in 2005, they were in the gutter and they won the Champions League. Same way with Chelsea in 2012. Similar problems, won the Champions League. So look, we are known for it, but I just don't think we have the minerals this time.
Well, I think it's clear that maybe Bowley sees Potter as the man for the future, so that's going to be another story. But now, of course, some focus goes back to Arsenal. And now, of course, that we are out of both the domestic cups, we have the Premiership and the Europa League to potentially play for. And I suppose it's worked to our advantage that we finished top of our Europa League group, because we don't have to go through the drudgery of that Europa League playoff against Barcelona like Manchester United do. And good luck to them, I would say. I always keep saying that the season has two halves, and this is now going to be the business end, because these next 5 games in the Premiership are where it's going to, really start to decide our mettle. And there is a part of me that thinks that if we can possibly avoid getting beaten by City at the Etihad and pull off a win at the Emirates, that could be good, because again, I take everyone's point, the games in hand may not count, but I want to take a look at our next 5 fixtures in the league. Fuad, I want you to start by telling me, how confident are you of us pulling out results against Manchester City when they come to the Emirates? And what do you think Arteta will do that he didn't quite do here tonight?
I think what Arteta, what he'll do tonight, he'll play his first 11, he'll play his strongest 11, and he'll go all out. And I think Martin Odegaard, he brought him on for the last 20 minutes. And look at the game. Zinchenko, look at the game. They Man City were on the back foot. I think if Arsenal play the strongest 11, Thomas Partey being super fit, we'll beat them. I think we'll beat them. If Nketiah can make if Nketiah can only score in air ground and we can play like that with Sambi, you've got to bear in mind, even though we lost the game, you've got to bear in mind, we had Sambi Lokonga, first 10 minutes of the game, he gave the ball away, he was scared of the shot, but then he found his feet, and you had Fabio Vieira, and you had who else was in there? We didn't have our Kieran Tierney, we didn't have a strong 11. Strong 11 will go at Man City, and I think we'll beat them. I think if we could do that in air grounds, we could definitely beat them in the Emirates. And I'm confident when they come back, bringing it back to the Emirates, because when we lose, it's like Darren just said. I remember that season we lost 4-0 at Old Trafford with that starting 11. And what happened then? Man United come back and they embarrass us in the Emirates. So if you play your cards at once, you lose the league. But I think this Arsenal team and a different Arsenal team. And can I just say something? Everyone got to forget about the old Arsenal team, like the likes of the ones like Mustafi and the likes of Kashami and all them used to throw titles away and give up games and put their heads up and walk around and the spirit's gone. And this is a different Arsenal team. So I think this team, and on top of all that, you got to bet him. Saliba only played 45 minutes.
But here's
the
thing.
Haaland didn't do much against Saliba, did he?
He didn't do very much at all. He was kept quiet. But I always say, and I'm sure both Darren, you and Jez will remember that song, This Time More Than Any Other Time We'll Get It Right. Kevin Keegan, Chris Waddle, that was for the 1982 World Cup, if I'm not wrong. We keep saying that. We talk about how good this team is now, how this team seems to have some sort of a fighting spirit. But the reason why I'm worried about City is because the way they were able to sort of keep Saka quiet despite playing Nathan Ake as a left back, you just know that Guardiola will think of some tactics up his sleeve to try to stifle that first 11. And so if we keep playing that first 11, you see that familiarity which comes. That familiarity will always be rife for any kind of exploitation. But then it isn't even City that we should be worried about, because our next games coming up are Everton at their stadium. We've got Brentford at home. Then we've got Manchester City in the Premier League, followed by Aston Villa at Villa Park, and then Leicester City over at the King Power Stadium. Everton's going to be an interesting game here because, as we all know, they sacked their manager, Frank Lampard. We talk about how often teams who sack their managers get a good sort of a bounce. But the way, and Nippon, I will get you to come in, but I want to go to Jez first. We talk about how how teams who sack their managers get some sort of a bounce. I take a look at the Everton team right now, and I just see a team with some fine players in their own individual right, but just not able to gel together as a team. So, Jez, if I can come to you first, sir. This game against Everton is going to be interesting. I'm sure they will. It'll be Sean Dyche's first game. He's been brought back for a reason to try to add some defensive steel. Do you see Everton recovering this season to avoid relegation, or will it be too much for him? And also, how do you think we'll do against them? starting 11 or no starting 11?
Yeah, I mean, I actually might well be going to that game with my cousin, who's a devout Everton fan. I personally don't see them bouncing back at this point in time. I think the club is in a complete mess as it is, and I think Arsenal, if Arteta puts out the first string and doesn't do stupidness, we will beat them, and I'm confident we'll beat them 3-0. Albeit Goodison Park is. I've been to Goodison Park quite a few times, and it's a great stadium, old, creaky, but it's a great atmosphere. But I still think Arsenal will go there, and we will do the damage, and we'll win 3-0. Arsenal Brentford, I think Arsenal will win that one 2-0, and I think Arsenal Man City. I'm going to make a statement here. If we can win that game 1-0, 2-1, whatever, it's going to be a tight game. We know that. If we win that one game, that pretty much, in my book, puts Arsenal 1 foot over the line to go for the championship. If we could get 4 points out of the 2 games we've got to play Man City in the league, 4 points. 3 at home, 1 away. That is a massive, massive plus for Arsenal Football Club. Villa away, I think we'll win that one. And I'll leave it there. But, yeah, I think to answer your question, Manny, teams always seem to get a little buzz out of a new manager, Sean Dyche. Okay, fair play. We know what Sean Dyche does. He'll set them up as he does defensively. But I think on the right day with the right team, we won't have Jesus. We know that. I hope Nketiah against Everton, that's his level, will actually do the damage. And Martinelli, Trossard, whoever starts out them 2, there's a competition there. I think they will seriously cause some problems. And the way that Odegaard, Xhaka, and Saka are, I just think it'd be just too much for Everton. I think we'll overwhelm them. I don't think they're great on attack, so I'm positive Arsenal will win that. And I'll go 3-0 to Arsenal.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Darren, I'm going to get you on in a minute, but Nippon, you wanted to add something to that. Are you still there?
I think he's frozen.
He's busy. Yeah, I think he's frozen. So that means
all I want to say.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Go ahead, Nippon.
Is that I feel one. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here. Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
I feel one of the results is going to be a banana skin.
And which one do you think that will be?
I have a funny feeling one of your results is going to be a banana skin. The Brentford game. I think you will either draw or lose that game.
I don't know if I can agree with that. The thing about Brentford is that they either seem to perform really well against some of the other big teams. And Nippon, I'm going to have to mute your mic because there's a lot of background sound there. There's a lot of them. Obviously, they performed well against the big teams this season, but against us, they haven't really looked too good. I think Arteta has the measure over Thomas Frank. But one of those games, and I'm going to come to you now, Darren, is, of course, against Aston Villa at Villa Park. And Villa were doing absolutely dreadfully early on in the season under Lampard's old mate, Steven Gerrard, before he was sacked. And, of course, it was our old manager, Unai Emery, who's come in. And since then, he's overseen a change in fortunes for Villa. Now, granted, most of their wins have not really been pretty, as it were, but he's managed to make sure that I believe in his first 21 points, he's got about 16 with 5 wins, a draw and a loss. The loss coming at home to Liverpool, but they've recovered since then, and now they're comfortably in mid-table. And we all have good memories of Unai Emery's first season. It was just unfortunate how things panned out in his second season. He seems to be a manager who does really well when he joins teams that punch above their weight, at a somewhat lower level than actually doing the business at higher level. But he seems to have gotten a tune so far out of a Villa team which had a lot of problems before. And so, are you potentially worried, given that it was he who knocked us out of the Europa League in 2021 in the semi-finals? Are you worried that Unai Emery might possibly have some more tricks up his sleeve for when we go to Birmingham?
No, not at all. I think the way we are now, the way we're trained up and our psychology with all of it now, we're going out and we're not scared of anybody now. I think we've shown.
I've got to bounce. I'll be back. I've got to do thingy bob on Lee's. I'll be back.
Okay, so all right. We'll wait for you. Hopefully, if we're here, we'll welcome you back in. But until then, subscribe to Jez's channel, Arsenal, the history, and more. As always, thank you very much for coming on, sir. We will see you back again soon, hopefully.
Take care, guys. Great stuff. Take care.
Cheers. Thank you. Yeah. So, Darren, back to you. You were saying?
Emery's a very good manager, but I'm not sure he's ever won a league. He might have won a few Europa leagues, and he might have won leagues, I don't know, but not in the English Premier League. And right now, our record is such, we've only lost one game, drawn a couple, and the rest of them we've won, which is quite a phenomenal record, you know. And the league tables don't lie. These facts, they're not lies, they're facts. We can all come in here and give our opinion on whether a player is going to be any good or not, or Arteta's any good or not. One thing you can't dispute is the league tables. So I'm not bothered really. I just think we're a bit of a machine now. We've got the bit between the teeth. I think we'll enjoy playing Everton away. This experience actually will probably do the team good, bring them down to earth a bit, make them feel like they're not like invincible, like some of our deluded fan base are going around saying. When you go on social media, some of the rubbish you see on there about, you know, our Nketiah is like the same as Henry and all this is ridiculous. So, you know, I think the team will be professional. They'll go out, brush Everton and Brentford aside. I ain't got any fear of them. And I agree with Jez. Well, I'm not sure if Jez actually put his nails to the mast and said we've beat Man City. But I think we're beaten because, you know, they what they face tonight is not what they're going to face on the 15th of February. What they're going to face on the 15th of February is the newly branded Arteta machine. That is, I'm sorry to have to say it, but, you know, you've got to give the bloke some credit that he has, you know, I think he's improved his performance personally this season. You look at all the crap he was coming out with in previous seasons. It was a load of crap, a lot of it. But this season, he's not talking that crap anymore. He's learning lessons. He's been lucky with the fixtures, and it's all fell in place with Saliba at the back as well. Odegaard, everyone's improving their game. One thing I noticed tonight as well with Lokonga, I still want him out and get rid of him. But I actually noticed in the first sort of 5 minutes when he come on, he did this sort of Thomas Partey sort of manoeuvre. And this is what happens at the football club. When big players come in and they all start doing well, the lesser lights actually start copying the world star players and they improve their game. So going back to Aston Villa and Emery, though, it won't be an easy game. We might have to graft a 1-0 or a 2-1 away. But I'm not frightened of anyone. I think we can just keep this going. Not saying we're going to win every game for the rest of the season, but I do. I actually think, because by the time we face City, we're going to have 2 wins upon our belt. And the other thing is as well, if we had Man City away first, that'd be harder. See, this is why the fixtures have been so kind. I've never known a kinder fixture list to Arsenal's league season. This is the kindest we've ever had. And I can see us brushing Aston Villa aside. I don't think they got the players yet. Emery's still bedding in there. He's getting his own people in. He might have to sell a few in this window and the next window before he really starts. So I can see us beating Aston Villa. No problem at all.
Well, I like what you said, that City won't be facing the same team they faced tonight. But the fact is, City also did make some changes tonight. So we're not going to be facing that same City team when they come over to the Emirates. So a little circumspection is always needed. But again, when it comes to our upcoming fixtures, I think it's fair to say that aside from City and maybe an Unai Emery Aston Villa team, which is in a bit of a resurgence at the moment, we should have some good fixtures. But again, these matches can't be taken for granted. And Everton, of course, are almost certainly down and out. We can definitely agree. But let's now switch focus to the Europa League. And Fuad, I'll get you in here. We still don't know the results of, the draw, basically, of who we're going to face in the knockout rounds. And of course, because we don't have the playoffs, we've got some extra rest while United have to grind it out against Barcelona. How far do you see us going in the Europa League? And if you had to choose between the Europa League and the Premiership, which one would you take right now?
I want them both. Seriously, I want them both.
As do we all.
Both, because I look at it like this. There's going to be a point where he has to start playing Marquinhos, Trossard, this new player, Fabio Vieira in the Europa League. And today, Man City is one of the best teams in the world. But when you're playing in the Europa League and this young team gets to a final, it's like the reason why Europa League to me is serious is because if you want to do good in the Champions League, you've got to bring that winning mentality. And there's nowhere to start by winning the Europa League. Plus, you're a young team. So, to me, the Europa League is very important because if Arsenal wins it, you're going into the Champions League with winning mentality in Europe that we haven't had for flipping since George Graham. Well, the Cup Winners' Cup in the 90s. So, that's why I look at it like perspective. Same way I look at the league. If they win the league, they're winning as a young team. So next year, they'd be hungrier to win it again.
But then here's the thing. I mean, for a team which seriously has ambitions of winning the Europa League, our record hasn't exactly been too outstanding. Of course, under Arteta in his first season, we exited the Europa League and then won the FA Cup later on. And of course, when we exited the semi-finals, the following season, we didn't have European games. So there isn't going to be a guarantee that just because we may have maybe doing well right now, we'll win, because this cup competition is another knockout competition. We've been knocked out of 2 cups right now. So unless you perform well on the day, you might not get it. And Darren, I'm going to come to you now. Fuad's made a great point. There will come a time when we will have to put our trust in the likes of Marquinhos, Reece Nelson, even Vieira and Sambi Lokonga, God forbid, especially if we're going to have a situation where we play on Thursday and then on the weekend, we will have to use the squad. But then if we don't make any more signings, especially not, I'm not saying that we spend silly money, but if we certainly don't get good CDM cover for Partey, for example, and really strengthen the squad in all avenues, can you see us going that far in the Europa League if we also want to try and hold on to our lead in the Premiership?
Yeah, I can, because I think the players in previous seasons have been quick to say, I'm injured, can't play, I'm injured. We've had like other players that have left the club and the morale has been down. Everyone wants to be fit. Everyone wants to be out there now. Everyone's interested. Everyone's focused. Everyone wants to win. They've always wanted to win. But what I'm trying to say is people just don't want to not be in the team, and I'm sure some of these players that might want away and want to leave, like your Maitland-Niles and that, I'm injured. No, not playing. But I don't see that with this team and squad. I see a team and squad that they all want to get in the team. They all want to displace the person who's in the team. Like Tierney's after Zinchenko's place. Trossard's now after Martinelli's place. Now this new guy is going to be after Partey's place. You know, so I think if we can get this guy in that Jez was talking about and you were talking about, and you know he comes in and he's world class, then yeah, I can see it's only 2 competitions. It's not 3s and 4s. You know, we're still behind City in terms of depth. We all know that, but we're getting closer to the depth of it now. We are getting closer to having a deeper squad. I mean, even Matt Turner had a good game today, I felt. And when he first come, I thought he was just like a clown. He was just ready to throw the ball in the back of his own net. But now I've even got a bit more confidence in him. You know, he didn't have a bad game today.
He was one of our top players, and I've always believed that if Turner were given the chance, he'd settle in. And I've not been one of those people quick to write him off because, look, he's an international for the US, Gold Cup winner, starred in the World Cup. And ever since he's come in, his catching has been clean. His anticipation and the decision-making have been good. So you could say he's adapted well to the situation. It still remains to be seen whether he can do a good job with the ball at his feet. But again, we will hopefully, if Ramsdale doesn't quite do the business, he could get some chances. But he needs a few more games. It's going to be difficult for him with Ramsdale ahead of him in the pecking order. But so obviously, like what both of you are saying is quite simple. We should continue to maintain the charge for both those trophies, and we should be able to try and get them. I just feel a little bit discomforted by the fact that we have to depend on the same players week in and week out to effectively save our bacon every time. It's not a good look. It's certainly not a good look that for a long time we only had 3 centre-backs. Thankfully, with Kiwior coming in, we might have sort of redressed that balance. But Darren, just quickly, do you see Kiwior playing often? And from what you saw of him in the World Cup, what do you think of him?
I don't see him playing that regular. I think he'd be lucky if he gets a game now because Saliba and Gabriel are irremovable at the moment. You've got to keep them in. Unless one of them gets injured, then I think Arteta would probably favour Rob Holding, which I totally disagree with. I think it's going to be hard for him to get a game now. What do I think of him again? I don't know enough about him to sort of say one way or the other. I have to wait and see, really, see how good he really is, you know.
I get that. And the link's still out there if any of you want to join. I know I'm not Del Boy. I'll never be Del Boy. There's only one, and that's the only person there will be. But at least I've tried to do a decent job at such short notice. Again, copy and paste the link into your browser. Come on. We'll stay on for a little bit of time and have a little bit of a chin wag. But with you two now, I'd like to get into some player ratings, and we're going to go through the starting lineup. I think we all agree that Turner had a pretty good game today, certainly not at fault for Nathan Ake's winner. A bit disappointing how, Saliba wasn't really willing to try and do more to close down Ake, but it is what it is. What sort of a rating would you give Turner out of 10? Fuad, I'll start with you.
I'll give him a 7. He played well.
Darren?
Yeah, I was going to give him the same. 7 out of 10, steady enough. Didn't make any spectacular saves, but what he did, he did all right. He did a good job.
He anticipated the game very well. When everyone thought Haaland was it, he come out of nowhere, boom. So he really, he's really good at reading the game, and he's a top keeper. I'm glad we caught him. And like you said,
exactly,
he's an international American keeper. He's not, he's not rubbish. To play in the American team. Look how many they've had good keepers over the past.
Obviously. Brad Friedel, Casey Kellett, Tony Meola, Tim Howard. Yep. But also, we grew up watching David Seaman, obviously, and he was a pass master at reading the game and covering his angles and only making camera saves when it was necessary. Now we get to the right back, Tomiyasu. Fuad, let's start with you.
I thought Tomiyasu played well, I don't think he did nothing wrong. The only thing he did was he was unlucky not to score. I thought he had a good game, He's like, I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7. I think he played well.
Mr. Sullivan?
He's picking all my scores. He's reading my mind.
I'm reading your mind, Darren.
Okay. I get that. So 7 each for
Seven.
7 each for Turner and Tomiyasu. What about Kieran Tierney? Darren, over to you.
I don't think this was one of his best games, Tierney. I've got to be honest with you. He didn't do anything silly. I didn't see him going foraging up front or, he just had a sort of steady game. I'd probably say 6 for Tierney.
Fuad?
Darren, you're reading my mind. I was going to give him a 6 too.
Mm.
Yeah, because 6. I was going to give him a 6.
So it's as if I take one of you away, the other one will speak for the other one.
Too much agreement going on here.
Yeah,
I get that. And I'm stuck here in the middle between the both of you. But now, before we go on to the ratings, we'll talk about these two. There was obviously talk when Ben White was removed at halftime against Manchester United that he wasn't quite able to, do his bit of keeping Rashford quiet. And of course, Rashford did, to White's credit, have to cut in before scoring that goal, but he wasn't getting too much joy around the wing. And in the second half, we saw Tomiyasu covering his angles perfectly, sort of keeping Rashford quiet for the most part. And Rashford was probably the only one who was huffing and puffing without quite being able to blow the house down. And Tierney also seems to be suffering a little bit because I perceive that this was the sort of game played by a person who knows that with Zinchenko having done as well as he's done, his days of being Arsenal's left back could very well be numbered. And it's one thing to talk about how we need competition for places, but if Tierney's in a situation where when push comes to shove, Arteta goes for Zinchenko because Zinchenko fits his system better and does a good job, and Tierney can only get a few cameo minutes on to try and tidy up, that might not necessarily be good for his game. So we're going to talk about Tomiyasu first. We know that Ben White was more of an auxiliary right back, but Tomiyasu has looked good. Would you see that competition for places being good for both players at the end of the season? And do you see Tomiyasu possibly coming back into the team even ahead of White if White has another bad game in the Premiership? Fuad?
Yeah, I do. You got to bet Tomiyasu. Footballers who actually played the game on a high level and who understands the game rate Tomiyasu. It's only some of these YouTubers who've never played football don't rate him. You can't bring a man. We haven't beat Liverpool for God knows how, and we put him in left back, and he's done the job. Ben White, Rashford was just terrorising him. I'm a big Ben White fan. I think you know that yourself. I loved Ben White last season, but he gave him a hard time. Tomiyasu came and said, "You know what, mate? I'll keep you quiet." He kept him quiet. He dealt with him. So Tomiyasu to me is a top player, and it's not just me saying it. It's like when you see professionals talk about how good he is, watch the game. Don't go off your opinion. Watch what he does on the pitch and see how good he is. So yeah, I can see him keeping up with the team in the future. If Ben White ain't up to the level, Tomiyasu straight in there.
Yeah, I get that, and I get that.
He doesn't do wrong. Like, we haven't beat Liverpool in a game for like how many years? That's why I asked for an Arsenal fan. Exactly. So if he could do it in the big games like that, he's capable of taking Ben White's spot. 100% he is.
Yeah, but then here's the thing about Tomiyasu. I mean, obviously, he is capable of some good performances. He's also an international for Japan, and we'll say the Liverpool thing for another day, maybe a little bit later on. But certainly, he has the know-how. And Ben White is not a natural right back. He normally plays at centre back. Now, he did play right back a few games at Brighton, but then most of his coaches have preferred to play him as a centre back instead. So, Darren, I'll put this question to you. Obviously, with Tomiyasu coming in and looking quite accomplished, and Ben White wasn't even brought on today, and Ben White was brought off, how do you see the competition affecting both players? And do you think Tomiyasu will end up back in the team at the expense of Ben White?
I don't think he'll end up in the team unless Ben White gets injured. My opinion on Ben White versus Rashford is this. In the 80s, Nigel Winterburn used to have shockers against a little winger at Tottenham called Royal Fox, who used to play for Newcastle as well. Now, Nigel Winterburn was an awesome left back. He'd be up and down. He'd score the odd goal from about 25 yards. Solid, used to fight, used to get involved with Brian McClare and all that. I just think Ben White has met a nemesis that he can't deal with for a game, because for all the other games he's played in, he's done really, really well. He's a better attacker than Tomiyasu. He goes round the side of Saka a lot, which Tomiyasu never does. He's put crosses in for goals, which I don't see Tomiyasu doing. Tomiyasu is more like a Gary Neville type, a sort of solid. You ain't going to see him go much past the halfway line. So I think for that reason, I can't see Tomiyasu getting in unless Ben White gets injured. But he's a good backup to have. I think he's a good, reserve to have. And just like what you said there, he's come on and done a job on Rashford when Ben White has just looked, like he's met someone he can't deal with.
Yeah.
I get that. And now we'll go to Tierney, because obviously Fuad was talking about the Tomiyasu gamble against Liverpool, which paid off. But one of the things which made me angry about Arteta is that he often has a tendency to think of himself as far too clever, because in the subsequent games that Tomiyasu did have at left back, he looked like a duck out of water, and Tierney had to come on and rescue the situation. But now, not only is Tierney being kept out of the team by Zinchenko, there was even a situation where tactically Tierney wasn't even trusted to do a job trying to get a hold of Mohamed Salah. And there are some people who were saying that it wasn't so much that Tomiyasu did necessarily a good job. Maybe he did, but Salah simply wasn't on form that day. But coming to Tierney, yes, there are some people who will say that the competition for places will only help in the long run, and Tierney wouldn't want to leave Arsenal if they're, doing well and achieving some things. But he might also be of the idea that with some years of his career being robbed by injury, being on the bench is the last thing he would need. So my question to both of you, and I'll start with you, Darren. I'm not going to compare Tierney to Winterburn, because obviously when you compare their body structures, Winterburn and Tierney are two different animals altogether. But do you see that this season being the end for Kieran Tierney at Arsenal, or do you believe that he still has a role to play, and would you like to keep him?
Yeah, I think he's still got a role to play. He'll stick in there and fight. Let's not forget, Zinchenko has spent a lot of time injured. So I think he'll be mindful of that and think, I'll get my chance. And if we win the league or the Europa Cup now, I think he'll want to stick around. I do. And even if it goes slightly wobbly and we don't achieve any of those trophies, I'm not going to mention the phrase that we all despise. It's, 3-letter word and a number that I'm not going to, quote on a family channel. I think I got he'll be all right. I think he'll hang around. I can't see him going.
Fuad?
No, I agree with that. I think Kieran Tierney will be at Arsenal for a while. We're gonna need him, and like some games, it's like you said earlier on, Manny. Some games it's tactical. Like he might have some games that he's gonna need Kieran Tierney in the second half of the season, where they'll suit the system that you might play a different system, and you're gonna need Zinchenko to come on and play it together. Like sometimes you will see Tierney playing throughout the season, because sometimes when at Arsenal they'll go when Tierney plays, they'll have like a solid defense, but when they hit out very well. Whereas Zinchenko will hold the ball and I'll slide into the middle, and I'll like a free in the back sometimes. So Arteta is changing tactics. So I think Kieran Tierney will stay, and like Darren said there, if we win the Europa League or we win the league, he's got nowhere else to go, and he's going to be part of that. Even though Zinchenko, he can't drop Zinchenko now because Zinchenko's on fire, but then you are going to see Kieran Tierney playing some games, even with Zinchenko fit. It's going to be tactical change. Arsenal ain't going to go out from now to the end of the season and play this pretty football. They're going to go, let's get a 1-0, Kieran Tierney just defend. It's going to be some games like that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I can't see him leaving. I think Kieran Tierney is going to be a future at Arsenal. So yeah, I find him. I think he's going to stay because he's quality. Even today, he never done much wrong. It's just the game. If you look at the game, all right, man, the game of today, it was just a defender hit the ball and it went in. That's what it was, really. Jimmy, and he passed it. I think he mishit it. So, but Kieran Tierney's quality. Yeah. I don't want him to go. I read Kieran Tierney. He's quality,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And Nippon, if you're back, hopefully it's a lot quiet where you are now.
The internet's much better here.
Yeah,
You're
but
always in public. Why don't you go home and talk to us?
yeah, you need to go home. Seriously, it's a lot quieter at home.
You're always in
But-
public, Nepal.
But here's the thing: he's a man on the move. He's got a good job working in one of the top restaurants, hotels in London. He's a busy fella. I mean, the fact that he comes on, we're always happy to have you. Come as you are, wherever you're from.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, but now let's get back to the play.
What's the focus? Yeah, what's the focus now that you've been knocked out?
Well, basically, we're talking about the player ratings. We agree that Matt Turner deserves a 7. We agree that Tommy Yasu deserves a 7. Tierney gets a 6. Not a very bad game, decent. But we're going to the centre backs right now, and we're going to start with Rob Holding. He was. I'm sure Fuad, you might rate him highly. You thought he did a job on Haaland, but Darren, you may have some opposing ideas. Darren, let's start with you. What do you think?
I'll give Holding a 5. It's not easy controlling Ireland, but he's not. I mean, Roy Keane said it at half time. It was Holding and no one else was helping him, you know. So, but I still think, you know, he didn't have a good game. He got the yellow card. He had to be subbed, you know. Arteta doesn't trust him, therefore. Arteta's seen it before. Arteta's seen him knock us out of the 3-letter word and 1 number last season, up against Tottenham with Harry Kane. He did it then, and he's liable to do it again. And for that reason, he shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be at the football club anymore, but he is. And, you know, he tried, but he's it's Rob too nice Holding. He's not got the ability, he ain't got the mentality. He comes on with 5 minutes left to go in most of our games when it's sort of sewn up. And he's just like, it's like someone he's like a gate crasher to this squad. He's like a gate crasher. He's
Just happy to be there.
When he should have been going home hours ago. Come in number 10 or whatever number he works on. He's got on his back. Get out. Go.
I get that. Fuad, I'm sure you might disagree. What's your rating for him?
Oh, I'm gonna give him a 6 because Haaland, like, he scored a hat-trick the other day, and for him to keep him quiet for 45 minutes, that's for the player of 2 million to do that to Haaland, keep him quiet for 45 minutes and bully him, and not let him concede the goal against him. I'll give him a 6, a super 6.
Okay, I like the way you say Super 6, but again, the centre of defence needs 2 people. We've got Gabriel Magalhaes, who I think has improved his football a bit ever since being dropped from the World Cup. And obviously with Saliba starting to make a few errors, he's had to step up his game. How would you rate our Brazilian centre-back? Darren?
I'll give him an 8 tonight. I think he was the pick of our defenders. He looked solid. He was, you know, buzzing about the pitch. He popped up in not only the defence, in like midfield as well.
What's up, guys?
I thought he had a really good game. The thing I'm pleased with him for is a lot of people were knocking him, saying he was like calling him names and bits and bobs. But, you know, it was just because we didn't have anyone other than Partey in midfield that was really doing anything. Now I think perhaps Arteta's worked it out. With Xhaka and Partey in there and Odegaard. And Odegaard now is doing more graft coming back. So I think that has helped Gabriel not make these stupid errors because he was getting exposed. Earlier on in the season, Gabriel was getting exposed time and time again. And it made him look, you know, not the player he is. I've got good confidence in Gabriel being, you know, having what it takes to get us a league title.
Okay, very nice. So an 8 for Gabriel. Fuad, what's your opinion?
I think Gabriel was one of the best players on the pitch. He dealt with Haaland good. He got back very good. Him and the keeper was like when the defense was under pressure, they were just calming it down and playing that 1-2. So yeah, I think for our team, I think our man of the match had to be Gabriel. So I'm gonna give him a lovely 9.
Ooh, a 9. Very nice rating there. Central Man, good to see you. How are you, son? What do you think of the game?
It's been okay. It's been an okay game. I'm lucky we lost, but I don't think we played bad. It was okay. I think we had some chances, but it's I think we'll leave our heads up, for the next game. We lost, knocked out of the cup, but I'm still not angry, but not like I'm a little gutted, but
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and obviously there is this idea that we've got bigger fish to fry. As sad as it is to say, we've got to go further. But now we've got the player ratings on. We agree that Matt Turner deserved a 7. Takahiro Tomiyasu gets a 7. Kieran Tierney gets a 6. Rob Holding alternates between a 5 and a 6. Gabriel Magalhaes alternates between an 8 and a 9. Are you happy with these ratings? Because I want to make sure you're involved now.
is it me?
Yeah, you, Central.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I don't think the players were. They played well. Not well, but they played okay. I think Rob Holden. Yeah, he was a bit shaky, but he got stopped Holland performing. But I think they played fine.
Okay. Right, so we've done the keeper and the defense. We're now going to go to the 3-man midfield. We started with Fabio Vieira, Thomas Partey, and Granit Xhaka, and we're going to start with Fabio Vieira. Obviously, he was absent for the most part. He did have a few good moments. Fuad, let me start with you. How much would you give our Portuguese boy?
I think he had a good game. I thought he had a good game. I thought he played well. But they never got him much involved in the game. But every time he was on the ball, it's like he did make something. It's like he was making things happen. So, yeah, I'm going to give him. I'll give him a 7. I think he was all right. 7. I think he played very well.
Darren, I'm not too sure you'd agree with that, sir.
No, I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to give him a 5. He didn't waste the ball, but he's in the team to create and do what Odegaard's doing. And if you look at his performance tonight, it's nothing what Odegaard's producing, match in, match out at the moment. He's in that team to create. He had a chance as well on the volley. The commentator on Sky said, Lee Dixon said he had enough time to bring it down and then shoot. I'm not sure. Obviously, Mr. Dixon's more qualified at football than what I'll ever be. But, not good. We needed more out of him today, so he's getting a 5 from me.
And I think it's fair to say that unless he bulks up and really takes the game by the scruff of the neck the way Odegaard is starting to do, he's going to have some problems, yes?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Getting in the team,
Central, what did you think of him? Well, how would you rate him?
Is that Fabio Vieira?
Yep, Vieira.
Kind of a bit. He kind of like, I will say terrible, but not like, I don't know. No, I think I give him like 4 out of 10. He kind of disappeared. He had that chance. I think it was before Ake scored, or maybe I think it was before Ake scored. That was a bit off target. But for me, I see him too much. I see him too much about Vieira, man. I don't think he's going to be that good enough, to be honest.
Yeah, I get that. That's fine. So a 5 from you. Now we go to Thomas Partey, the tank engine of our team. He started today, and we actually have a bit of an update from Joanne Smith. Big up to you. He's gone to have an MRI scan on his rib, so it looks as though he was taken off as an injury precaution, which is a little bit concerning. But hopefully with our Premiership game coming next week and not during midweek, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. In fact, it is going to be next Saturday that we to take them on the 4th of February, so it shouldn't be too serious an injury. He'll have time to recover. But he played in the first half. So, Central, let me ask you, what did you think of him?
Thomas Partey?
Yep.
He played fine. I think he played okay. I'll probably give him like a 6 out of 10.
All right. Darren?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. 6 out of 10. Solid enough. Moved the ball about. Didn't create too much. Solid, yeah, 6 out of 10.
Fuad?
Yeah, I'll go the same. 6 out of 10. He
Okay.
didn't
So
create much because he was too busy defending.
right. So 6 across the board. And what about Shaka Boom, Granit Xhaka? Darren, this time I'll start with you. What did you think of our Swiss maestro?
Yeah, again, a little bit stifled. I'm getting a little bit concerned about Xhaka, if I'm honest, because he did very well in that first half of the season before the World Cup. But since he's been back, I don't think he's at the levels he was before the World Cup. I don't see him on the edge of the box anymore, looking to score and get on the end of opportunities. He's doing enough. He's not. What I'm happy with him with is he stopped being given the runaround in midfield. Somebody's coached him or told him, stop chasing shadows. He used to, like in the office, if anyone's done admin work, there's always a person going around with a sheet of paper like this looking busy. Well, that's what he used to be like in the midfield. And he used to be chasing shadows and running. Now he actually gets tackles in, which is a lot better. So I think I'll give him a regulation 6 in the hope that he's going to pick his performance up and start doing what he was doing before the World Cup.
Okay, so that's a 6. Central man, if you're still there, what do you think of Xhaka today?
Xhaka, I think he's been okay, man. He's not been great. He's not been perfect, but at the same time, he's not terrible. I give him like 6 out of 10. Same as Partey.
Yeah, Fuad?
Yeah, I'll let Napoli take over. But Partey, who's it? Xhaka.
Yeah.
Xhaka, he played all right, played well, but I don't think he had one of his best games. I think he was more concentrating. He had to go play a bit more defensive in the second half because of Sammy Lokonga was a bit frail in the middle. I was scared like. So I'll give him a 5. Give him a 5. But I got to shoot off, all right, Manny, and thanks for having me on, Darren. Manny.
Yeah, so listen. Before you shoot off, Fuad, just tell us where we can briefly find you, because I want to make sure that people follow you. Tell us where we can find you.
You'll find me at Prince Fuad TV on YouTube, and I'm on Prince Fuad on Instagram.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. We'll hope to see you again next week, hopefully, when Delboy will be back. Haven't done a really good job here, but take care.
No, you've done a wicked job, man. You've been a good host, man. Man, come on, bro.
You've been incredible. You've been incredible.
You know what, Delboy, you're sacked.
No. This is his channel. He comes back. But anyway, thanks a lot, Fuad. Take care of yourself as always. Barakallah fiik. Masalama. Take care of yourself.
Masalama.
All right. And Nippon, if you're still there, I don't know if you saw the match.
I am.
Yeah, so we've just gone through the ratings for the goalkeeper, the defense, and the midfield. If you saw the game, what do you think of some of our players? Who do you think had a good game from our side?
I think the only good player I saw on that pitch was Matt Turner. Honestly, it could have been a lot more if it was if it was your third choice, put it that way.
And that's why you're a Chelsea fan.
What?
Look, we've given Gabriel Magalhaes a high rating, and Turner did have some good saves. But you say that Turner was our best player.
No. Sorry, outfield player. I'm a bit tired of, you see.
I get that.
But anyway, I mean, like, look, Holding. I mean, what were you gonna do against Holland? But yeah, Gabriel, I'd have to say, I'd go one further and give him a 9.5.
Ooh, very generous, and that's coming from a Chelsea fan. I think we're all in agreement.
I'm a football fan first. Put it that way.
I appreciate that. So am I. So are we all. And now we come to the strikers, and we'll get to the subs. And with that, we'll probably have to end this stream because we've gone for a bit too long. But we're going to go to Leandro Trossard first. He started ahead of Martinelli, and I'm glad that he was given his debut in this game. I would have loved to have seen Jakub Kiwior given his debut as well. Hopefully, he might get some games later on, certainly in the Europa League. But for me, he looked really good on the wing, a wonderful left foot, and certainly could be terrific competition for Gabriel Martinelli. Mr. Sullivan, let's run the rule on our Belgian newcomer.
Yeah, I think 8 out of 10 of my man of the match, not player of the match, man of the match. I think he caused massive problems for City down the left. He was our biggest outlet, causing them the most problems. Set up that chance for Tomiyasu in the first half. And actually, when he got subbed, I think I'm not knocking Martinelli as well. I think Martinelli's great. They're just two different sort of players. But I do think he did. I might have been tempted to leave him on and not bring Martinelli on so quick. Because I think when he come off, our attacking threat slipped away. I know Martinelli did get down the left a few times, but the problem was our players weren't running into the 6-yard box. They were all on the edge of the penalty area, and poor old Martinelli had about 3 players all stacked up against him. There was no one near him. Yeah. So I'd give Trossard man of the match today and 8 out of 10.
Very nice, very nice. Good call, good call. And there is some talk about how Martinelli could have come on for Nketiah and played that centre forward role, and at least that attacking impetus could have been maintained, perhaps. Right, Central. What did you think of Trossard?
He's been fine. I think he played a good game. He had a chance to score in the first half. I think the second half he was a little quiet. I think there's some glimpses he can be. I think I could see Trossard being one of the best players in the next 2 or 3 years. He's 28, still young. I give him 8 out of 10. He's been player of the match or I'll call him man of the match. I'm not.
I mean, there's no real difference because it's all men who are playing anyway. But Nippon, obviously, Trossard was ended up being the beneficiary from the Mudarak saga going in your favor. And obviously, I know you're happy with M&M, but L&T certainly didn't do that bad. If you saw him play, what did you think of him? Maybe you could have gotten him instead.
Well, we have an even better player who's currently suspended in João Felix. He's better than Mudryk, that's for sure. Probably not. Probably on the same level as Trossard. I'm not going to make any judgment yet.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Bukayo Saka. Probably a quiet game by his standards, and it was rather unsettling in a way that despite having to play Nathan Ake, of all people, at left back, he was able, at least with the help of his midfielders, to keep our star boy quiet. Didn't seem to do very much. Darren, what did you think of Bukayo?
I think he probably missed Odegaard today, and the service probably weren't as good for him, but that's not an excuse. I'll give him 6 because he didn't really managed to cut in, get in the box, and didn't happen for him today, did it? I think it's just one of them days. It's not happened for him, and on to the next game.
Yeah, and it could be a worry as well because, as I said, Nathan Ake kept him quiet. Cancelo didn't even come on. So Saka might perhaps have to up his game or maybe wait for Odegaard to come back in when City come to visit us at the Emirates, yes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Central, what about you, son?
For Saka, he had a quiet game. I don't think he played that bad. He just played okay. I think he should have. I don't know. I was a bit. I was disappointed when he got subbed. I think he didn't play that bad. I think he's trying to set up for trying to cross the ball to Nketiah. It's just what it is, man. He's not. I give him 6 out of 10. He's just not he didn't have a bad performance, but not the same performance he had against Man United from last Sunday.
Yeah, I get that. And obviously it was a quiet game by his standards. And now we go to the elephant in the room, Eddie Nketiah. You could say Eddie the Elephant, if you will. For me, he showed good movement, but wasn't able to take his chances. Simply wasn't quite prolific. And Central, if I can start with you, I'm sure you'd agree that this was not his best game tonight.
Who?
Nketiah.
Nketiah. You know, he had chances, but I don't know, man. Nketiah, he's not a striker, man. I don't see him. He's not a striker. I don't think he's a striker, man. I think he's better off on the wings. He should have in the future games, I'd rather put like Martinet up front instead of Nketiah. I think he's just, he's a bit of a lightweight, man. He's not.
So you're saying he's better off as like an inverted winger or like an inside forward?
Yeah, so something like that. He's not like a striker. He's more like an inside forward, not and a winger, but like he can't hold on the ball. He scores some goals. I'm not saying he can't score goals. I'm just saying I don't think he played bad tonight. But if I give him a rating for Nketiah, I give him like 5.
Yep, 5, just as I predicted. Mr. Sullivan, what about you?
Right. Well, Eddie Nketiah, before he had his purple patch with Man United goals and that, I always thought he's no good holding the ball up. He's better off running in from the edge of the area into the penalty spot and slotting goals in that way. But I noticed tonight again, it looks like they want him to hold the ball up. The ball was coming to him outside the box, and he was having to try and hold it up. But that's not really what he's any good at. I did feel, though, tonight he was doing better at that, holding the ball up. But that's not really his game. I don't think we should be relying on him. He's too small. All right, he's bulked up. He's done a few weights. He's not as slimline as he was. And unfortunately, he's got to improve more. He has improved, but he's got more work to do if he wants to be like a world-class striker. Because that chance that come flashing across the goal, should have been the goal. He should have put that away. So I'll give him a 6 today for that one.
Okay. And of course, Nippon, as you know, Nketiah was a former Chelsea youth player before coming to Arsenal. I wonder what you think of him personally. And I'm sure you wouldn't want him back at Chelsea, would you?
Nope. To answer your second question, no, I wouldn't. And to answer your first question, this was not his best game. And I do think Gabby Jesus should come back to the starting 11 once he's fully fit. He is not the man to take his place, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. So we can come to the subs right now. We know that Saliba and Lokonga came on at the beginning of the second half. Saliba probably looked a bit solid, but I thought when it came to the Ake goal, he probably could have perhaps done a little bit more to try to, intercept it instead of sort of backing out in a way. Good piece of opportunism by the Dutchman, who had a good game against Saka and also scored that goal. Darren, how would you rate Saliba's performance?
I thought Saliba did really well. He looked a lot more better than against Ireland than what Rob Holding did. Yep. Seemed to be able to sort of work him out and give him a bit of distance and, marshal him a lot better. At no point did I ever think, Saliba's going to pull Haaland down and wrestle him to the floor like what Holding does. I thought he had a reasonable game, and I agree with you. He's put his arms behind his back for the handball thing when the shot come in, and it was a grass cutter shot. So should he be throwing himself Martin Keown style with his legs out? Probably, rather than, turning around and sort of, I don't fancy taking the blame for that one. I'll put my hand behind my back, So I'd probably give him a 7 out of 10.
Okay, Central Man, Saliba, what's your rating?
Saliba, he played fine. He continued what Holding did. Stopping Haaland. I give him probably 7 out of 10. He had a decent game.
Okay, 7 across the board. And now we go to one player who also
I'll-
didn't take his chance
I'll give him an 8. I'll give him an 8.
for a substitute. That's a big call.
Look, he made a difference. Like when he come off for Rob Holding?
Yeah, half
I
time.
think-
Half time.
Yeah. He came on for holding at.
Yeah, that's what
at-
I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give him an 8 out of 10. He handled Holland much better. Like, Holland was in his pockets the whole game.
And that's why, he could have made a difference for France, but no, Deschamps had to pick Upamecano and Kanate ahead of him. It is what it is. And now, of course, we come to ASL, Bambi Lokonga. Nippon, let's start with you. I'd like to get a neutral perspective because I know that both my Arsenal mates might not have a nice thing to say about him, but what did you think of him?
Look, he's a massive drop-off from the Ghanaian international, your number 5. But this was nowhere near his worst game. I've seen worse performances from him. I'd have to
Didn't
give
get
him a
them.
4.
Wow. And you say this wasn't his worst game. What a big call that is. But
Look, sorry, yeah, either a 4 or a 5. Look, Manny, I'm knocked out as it is. So what I say first might not always be what I end up thinking at the end.
that's fine. As long as you have a cup of tea with you, that should keep you awake for a little bit longer. We'll end the stream very soon once we get through the player ratings because we've discussed what we need to discuss. But we'll assume a 5. Central, Sambi Lokonga.
I don't want to see him ever again, man. I don't say he had a terrible game, but I give him a 4 out of 10. I see enough of him last season, and now this season he ain't good enough. People say put him on low. No, I sell him in the summer, man. I don't know why. That's a pointless signing. That is a pointless signing. He came from. I think he's from Belgium. That Lokonga.
Yeah, he is.
Is it from Anderlecht? We're going from Anderlecht. That was like. I don't. What's the appeal about Lokonga, man? He doesn't bring nothing to the table. I get it, he's a young lad. I understand, but he's not gonna make. I don't think he's gonna make it, man.
Yeah.
He didn't play poorly tonight, but he's just disappeared. He's similar to Fabio Vieira. Had enough with him. It's just like, they don't bring nothing to the table. They're just. It's just. That's my 2 cents on it, man.
I think with Lokonga, this could very well be the end. Mr. Sullivan, what about you?
5 out of 10. He's not good enough. He was away at Man City. He didn't do anything too terrible today in terms of errors and stuff. But he's not good enough, is he? What is he going to offer? Sideways passes,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's simply not good enough. Get him in the bin, get him out on the transfer window, sold, gone, holding, gone, get him out.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're going to come to 2 more substitutes who came on at the same time. Gabriel Martinelli, who replaced Trossard and certainly did provide some good bursts of speed. Darren, what did you think of him?
Yeah, he did quite well. I think there was at least 2 times where he thought he's not going to get that, and he got to the byline, come along, got past 2 or 3 players. What I find frustrating with Martinelli is he hunches over when he runs. I don't know if anyone could train him up to sort of be able to run at speed with the ball and actually look up and his posture be a bit more upright. Because when he's running, he's very sort of crouched and hunched over. I sometimes wonder if his technique's not quite there. It could be there could be some improvement on it. But I'll give him a 7 out of 10 because he come on and did a good job. He offered something different to Trossard. I don't think he was as good as Trossard, but he offered something different, and that's what it's all about. We've got 2 players there now that can go down the left that have got different abilities.
I get that. And obviously, it's one thing to sort of, try and bend over with your back, but if you're hunched over, that might be poor technique, and it's certainly not going to be good for your posture. Central, Martinelli.
Martin, I think he done better than the Man United game from last Sunday. I think he hugs the ball. He had the opportunity to he's in the box. He's trying. He's trying he should have instead of going for goal, he should have passed it trying a square pass, a through ball into one of the players who's in the box. But yeah, I give him 7 out of 10. He's better performance than against Man United. He's just I think in the United game he's a bit he was getting a little bit greedy.
I get that.
It's a shame because those 2 times he did get down the left. For the first time he put the ball in and there was no one in there, and you saw all the players were on the edge of the box, and they never learned that for the next just push and get in the box or even go nearer him.
Absolutely.
To try and get a goal, but we just didn't happen, did it?
Absolutely. Nippon, are you there? What did you think of Martinelli?
Good performance. Not his best game. 6, an average 6.
Yeah, certainly looked a bit better, but I think he will benefit from competition. And of course, we now have the former Manchester City utility left back / midfielder, Zinchenko. Nippon, what did you think of him?
Another 6.5 for me.
The 0.5. You're going very meticulous, aren't you? Mr. Sullivan, he has that chant from Spandau Ballet. Do we believe in him?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, a 5 because he didn't really have much time really to come on and affect the game. He was a late sub rather than a half-time sub. But he is technically one of the best players in our team, whereas Tierney will race out on the touchline and whip across him. He won't do that. He'll have all these tricks up his sleeve that the opposition ain't got a clue what he's going to do next. And he'll come through the middle of the pitch and he'll do it. And he'll set goals up like we've seen him set them up in the last 5 or 6 games. So I'd give him 5 out of 10 and looking forward to him playing against Man City at the Emirates.
Yeah, when he's injury-free, he is indestructible. Central, Zinchenko.
Zinchenko. He's been he played okay. He didn't have enough time to make an impact. I think there's something in Zinchenko. I feel like I don't see Zinchenko as a world-class player. I think he's an okay player. He does bits. I think it's fun in the right position for him. You got Tierney, another left back, but I think so far in his Arsenal career, he hasn't played. I don't see a very bad game for Zinchenko. Despite that Man United game from September, but besides that, he's been okay. I wish he just played from the start or come on in the start of the second half. But he didn't. He played okay, man.
No, but what's your rating for him? That's my question.
Oh yeah, my rating. I give him 5 out of 10. Okay performance.
Didn't have too much time to impact the game. And finally, we're going to talk about the latest substitute. He came on for Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard. And from what I saw, he is everything that Fabi Vieira currently isn't and needs to be. And he's certainly taken a lot more initiative in games. I suppose bringing him on with about 10 minutes to go wasn't going to be the best thing for him because he wouldn't really have that much time to really stamp a mark on the game. But Nippon, let's start with you. What did you think of the Norwegian captain?
He didn't have much time to impact the game whatsoever. So I'm gonna give him a 6.
Okay, Central, what's your rating?
He didn't have a chance to make an impact, in the start when they announced the team, was it Partey, Xhaka, and was it Fabi Vieira who
Vieira.
Yeah, Vieira. He should have started. He should have really started, man. Vieira. I think I'm going to say about Vieira, man. I think he's proven me wrong. You know, when he came to Arsenal, you know, I thought like, oh my God, we got this from Real Madrid. You know, people are hyping up this dude, but he's proven a lot of people wrong. You know, I think he should have come on in the start of the second half to make. I think if he played in the start, if he started or came on in the start of the second half, I think we'll probably make an impact. We'll probably get like something out of the game, probably maybe a draw, maybe a 2-1 win. I give him 5 out of 10 for Odegaard. Wish he come on a little bit longer.
Yeah, he definitely could have come on a bit earlier with Saka having a quiet game. And certainly, Darren, he has improved this season by being willing to take a lot more risks and a lot more initiative. He's been scoring goals. Today, of course, though, you bring him on with 10 minutes, he can't have too much of an impact. What did you think of him and how would you rate him?
Well, when he come on, he was putting the tackles in as well as trying to get forward and do stuff. Didn't really happen for him because by that time, with 10 minutes left, you know, the writing was on the wall. We were still in it. We could have got an equaliser if we'd have got a ball through and got bodies in the box. And that's what I think we lacked tonight, is bodies in the box. No one was willing to take a risk, bust in there, get out of position and get in the box. But what he does well now is he tracks back. He weren't doing that last season. Weren't happening. He was just pouncing about and doing flicks, and then he'd get a chance in a big game and he'd fluff his lines. But now he's putting balls in. He's putting goals in. You know, I think I've probably given him a 6 out of 10 because he come on and you always had that hope that actually he might get on the edge of that box, look up, see a runner and put someone in. But sadly, it weren't meant to be.
No, it wasn't. But then that's what it is. So a sort of average performance, slightly above average for a few players, but in the end, the result simply wasn't good enough. The crack is that we are all here, but we are about to end the stream. And the story is Arsenal are out of the FA Cup. We just have the Premiership and the Europa League to aim for. We move on, and tomorrow is another day. And before I bid you adieu, I'm going to give all of you a chance to shout out your socials and tell us where we can find you. Central, go ahead, son. Spotlight's on you.
Okay, subscribe to this channel, Central Man Network. It's on YouTube. Just type in Central Man, like all together. Just say Central Man, then Network, and then you probably find my channel. And subscribe to my other channel. It's a new channel I just started. It's called Central Man Vlogging and More. It's more of a vlogging channel. And that's it.
And so no social media profiles for you.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to like promote that. You know, I keep it private.
I get that. That's fine. Mr. Sharma, good. Thank you very much for coming in late and staying involved. I know that we didn't give you too much of airtime, but your contribution has been appreciated. Please tell us where we can find you and just shout out your channels rather.
Well, you can find me on NS Sport. Well, you can find me at the arrivals area of Heathrow Terminal 5. Nah, all joking aside, you can find me on NS Sports TV. I'm on the road to 1K. You can find me on Twitter at the Nippon Sharma. Instagrams are Nippon with 4 I's and 3 U's and Nippon Reviews for all my reviews and stuff. And you can find me on my other YouTube channel, The British Lifestyle Blogger, where I upload all my non-football related content.
That's wonderful. And now, Mr. Sullivan, one of my favorite guests who comes on. We don't see you too often anymore. I'm so glad you came on this stream, even with Del Boy not here. Please tell us where we can find you, sir.
Yes, Darren Sullivan 49 on Insta. After the games, I like trying to put a bit of football in, highlights up with a bit of music, with a bit of a sarcastic edge to it all. I enjoy doing all that and coming on these streams. And Manny, you've done a great job tonight. Well done in presenting the show. You should definitely have your own channel if you ain't got one already. Thoroughly enjoyed this evening. Not been on for a while because I've had a few other bits and bobs going on, but hopefully getting back more regularly from now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much indeed, sir. And, you know, I've been told this, and obviously I had to come on at the last minute because Dell couldn't make it. But Dell is the man. This is his channel. This is his territory. He's the one who made it what it is. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell button for notifications. You can catch me as well on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and that's pretty much it. And catch me all over YouTube. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who's joined in, the likes of Static, Ryan Stockley, also everyone who's coming from the beginning, Joanne Smith, Craig Malloy, Lenny Moon, Chris Mossing from Canada, Oregon Guna, Anirin Jones, Gavin O'Flaherty, Taib Hussein, everyone else who's come in late. If there's any one of you whose names I've missed, I'll send you a check in the post. But for now, you all have made this stream what it is, and we hope to see you back again on another stream on Del Boy's channel. But for now, we are out. Take care of yourselves. Have yourselves a good weekend. Don't do anything that the four of us wouldn't do. And we're out.